Every conquest I had made would make me more of a boss to you. I'd be a fearless leader, I'd be an alpha type. When everyone believes ya, what's that like? I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man. And I'm so sick of them coming at me again, 'cause if I was a man, then I'd be the man. I'd be the man. I'd be the man. They say I hustled, put in the work. They wouldn't shake their heads and question how much of this I deserve. What I was wearing, if I was rude, could all be separated from my good ideas and power moves. And they would toast to me, let the players play. I'd be just like Leo in Saint-Tropez. I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man. And I'm so sick of them coming at me again, 'cause if I was a man, then I'd be the man. I'd be the man. I'd be the man. What's it like to brag about raking in dollars and getting bitches and models? And it's all good if you're bad, and it's okay if you're mad. If I was out flashing my dollars, I'd be a bitch, not a bother. They paint me out to be bad, so it's okay that I'm mad. I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man. You know that and I'm so sick of them coming at me again, 'cause if I was a man, then I'd be the man. I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man. And I'm so sick of them coming at me again, 'cause if I was a man, then I'd be the man. I'd be the man. I'd be the man. Oh, I'd be the man. Yeah. I'd be the man. I'd be the man.
Stand in the place where you live. Now face no. Think about direction. Wonder why you haven't now. Stand in the place where you were. Now face west. Think about the place where you live. Wonder why you haven't before. If you are confused, check with the sun. Carry a compass to help you along. Your feet are going to be on the ground. Your head is there to move you around. So stand in the place where you live. Now face no. Think about direction. Wonder why you haven't now. Stand in the place where you were. Now face west. Think about the place where you live. Wonder why you haven't before. Your feet are going to be on the ground. Your head is there to move you around. If wishes were trees, the trees would be falling. Listen to reason, the season is calling. Stand in the place where you live. Now face no. Think about direction. Wonder why you haven't now. Stand in the place where you were. Now face west. Think about the place where you live. Wonder why you haven't. If wishes were trees, the trees would be falling. Listen to reason, reason is calling, your feet are going to be on the ground. Your head is there to move you around. So stand. Now face no. Think about direction, wonder why you have it now. Stand. Now face no. Think about the place where you live, wonder why you have it. Stand in the place where you live. Now face no. Think about direction, wonder why you have it now. Stand in the place where you work. Now face no. Think about the place where you live, wonder why you have it before. Stand in the place where you are. Stand in the place where you are. Your feet are going to be on the ground. Your head in the place where you are around. So stand.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen. Pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets, the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Barely getting by. It's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5 for service and devotion. You would think that I would deserve a fair promotion. Want to move ahead, but the boss won't seem to let me. I swear sometimes that man is out to get me. They let you dream just to watch him shatter. You're just a step on the boss man's ladder, but you got dreams he'll never take away. In the same boat with a lot of your friends, waiting for the day your ship will come in and the tide's gonna turn and it's all gonna roll your way. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and you never get the credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5, yeah, they got you where they want you. There's a better life, and you think about it, don't you? It's a rich man's game, no matter what
across a clear blue sky. This is the day your life will surely change. This is the day when things fall into place. You could have done anything if you wanted, and all your friends and family think that you're lucky. But the side of you that never sees when you're left alone with the memories that
And I'm done being tired, so right now I'm inspired. Welcome to the revelation. I was once underwater and now I'm on fire. Welcome to the revelation. And I feel it in the air that Mother Earth ain't steady. Feel so alive even though times are dead. And in my soul, something is stirring now, and I'm not worried. You better get ready to see now. Good people been down for so long, and now it's like the sun is rising. Good people been down for so long, and now I see the sun is rising. Long was the night, but you know we've been dreaming. Welcome to the revelation. The city's getting loud 'cause the mountains are screaming. Welcome to the revelation. When you've been through it all and it won't get no worse, and the first shall be lost and the lost shall be first. And in my soul, something is stirring now, and I'm not worried. You better
doesn't matter what we do, where we are going to. We can stick around and see this night through. And we don't care about the young folks talking about the young side. And we don't care about the old folks talking about the old style too. And we don't care about our own folks talking about our own stuff. All we care about is talking, talking only me and you. And we don't care about the young folks talking about the young stuff. And we don't care about the old folks talking about the old style too. And we don't care about our own folks talking about our own stuff. All we care about is talking, talking only me and you. Talking only me and you. But when you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? Don't you know it's gonna be alright? Alright. Alright. You say you got a real solution. Well, you know, we'd all love to see the plan. You asked me for a contribution. Well, you know, we all doing what we can. But if you want money for people with minds that hate, all I can tell you is, brother, you have to wait. Don't you know it's gonna be alright? Alright. Alright. You say you change the Constitution. Well, you know, we all wanna change your head. You tell me it's the institution. Well, you know, you better free your mind instead. But if you go carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't gonna make it with anyone anyhow. Don't you know it's gonna be alright? Alright. 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 Alright.
All right, if everybody can find their seats, please. We're about to begin. The people who are coming in, don't worry. You're going to get your seat. We're going to keep letting people in as we get started. And y'all don't need to hear me speak, so don't worry about that. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. This is thrilling. It's truly thrilling. Thank you so much, Suffolk County and New York 1 and New York 2 for coming out today. My name is Catherine Casey Quigley. I am chairwoman. I am chairwoman of the Southold Town Democratic Committee, and I am thrilled to introduce you to our guest today. But first, a few introductions and thank yous. We want to thank the Patchogue Theater for their incredible professionalism. They've been absolutely wonderful to work with from start to finish, so thank you so much to all of them. We also have an overflow location at 89 North. There were 60 people over there, so we want to thank those folks as well. I want to thank our planning committee. There were about 8 or 9, all volunteers, total volunteers, organizing this event with over 1,000 people here and hundreds of people in 89 North, hundreds more on our live stream. We organized this all within 4 weeks' time, and I know. So, Anna Skrenta from the East Hampton, please hold your applause just because I want everybody to get to Congressman Raskin soon. So, Anna Skrenta from the East Hampton Democratic Committee, Leanne Bard from the Islip Democratic Committee, Allison Canis, Long Island Indivisible, Catherine Zoka and Catherine Levy. 3 Catherines, all spelled the same way. It's a little confusing. They're from the Progressive East End Reformers and the New York Progressive Action Network. Joe Sackman from the Long Island Progressive Coalition and the chair of the Nassau Working Families Party. Elizabeth Hanley, the Shelter Island Democratic Committee. Shoshana Hershkowitz of Suffolk Progressives. Yes! Vincent Bertuccio, who manages to be a million places at once. He's not here, but he's amazing. I want to thank Madeline Krakoff, who's the congressman's aide, and of course there's also dozens of volunteers behind the scenes. This has been really hard to do, but as I said to a friend, working together is hard, but not as hard as living under authoritarianism. So. I'd also really like to thank Rich Schaefer of the Suffolk County Democratic Committee. The Suffolk County Dems and the Babylon Dems generously sponsored most of this event, and they made it possible. So thank you to them. And I want to recognize his first vice chair, Eva Rodriguez-Groguski. Thank you for being here. Anthony Portese, who's our host, is the Brookhaven Town Chair, and all of the Democratic Town Chairs. So happy to have you here and for your partnership in this event. How great is the village of Patchogue? Like, so good. It just felt, I had the honor of driving the congressman in this afternoon, and it was just so exciting and thrilling to see the energy of folks outside and the protesters. It is just such a clear message that Suffolk County is ready for change. I want to thank the Patchogue Public Safety, the Suffolk County Police, all the security teams. They've been incredible in making everybody feel safe and secure. And I want to thank the mayor, Paul Pontieri, as well. I want to welcome a few elected officials here, New York State Assemblyman Tommy John Schiavone. So great to have him in there. Southold Town Councilman Greg Dorosky and Islip Town Councilman Jorge Guadron. I'd also like to thank all of you, Suffolk County, for coming out today. There was an overwhelming response to this event. We posted it 2 weeks ago, and it sold out, was registered, fully registered in under 24 hours. I have absolutely no doubt we could have filled a venue with 5,000 seats, probably more. So that says something, and that is sending a very important message to our congressmen and to our country. We the people, that's right. Just want to go over the format. So in just a few minutes after I share a few words about the congressman, Congressman Raskin will come out and speak for about 30 or so minutes, and then you'll be invited as a traditional town hall style to ask questions. So you'll see 2 microphones over here, so you'll just form a nice, calm line, and the congressman will get to as many questions as he can. But before we bring him out, I just want to set the stage a little bit about why this event matters and what it means. I'm sure that you all feel like I do, that what's happening every day, all day, nonstop, this flood the zone nightmare of illegal, cruel, inhumane, dishonest, greedy, incompetent, fascist, abusive actions. It is abhorrent. It is intolerable. It is un-American, and we must stop it. This is not the big D or small d democracy that we believe in. And we know that our 2 seats, New York 1 and New York 2, play a direct role in potentially flipping the House and the balance of power in this country. This event is important politically, but it's also important personally and soulfully. Our souls need this time. Look around. You're not alone. You're not crazy. And taking our nation back from the depths of this depravity is something that so many of us believe in, and it's something that is both real and possible. I skipped one. You know, I'm in education as my full-time job, and I've been reading a lot about how it's really important for students to know that they matter in order to be successful, that they need to feel that they have meaning and purpose and mission. And when you think about it, it really makes sense. That's important for all of us, right? We want to feel like we matter. It's part of what makes us human. And our congressman and Donald Trump are making all of us feel like we don't matter. Congressman Raskin knows we matter, and he traveled from Maryland to tell us as much. I'm sure it's occurred to many of us here what a part of history we are all in right now. And I think about and look to the leaders and activists and organizers who came before us, and what they needed, what we all need, is a vision of possibility and hope. We have to believe it, we have to see it, and visualize it. And our time together today with Congressman Raskin is an opportunity to do just that. He is uniquely positioned to give us hope. He has a vision for democracy, and he fights for that every day, not just for his Maryland constituents, but for the entire country in Congress. Congressman Raskin is a constitutional lawyer. He is the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee. He fearlessly and courageously led the second impeachment of Donald Trump. Yes. And he told me backstage that he has the special honor. He wrote a book called We the Students, and just last summer that book was banned in Texas. And not long after, he was permanently banned from Russia by Putin himself. So he has... He has the distinct honor of being banned in both Texas and Russia. I also, if you haven't, very much encourage you to read his book, Unthinkable, Trauma, Truth, and the Trials of American Democracy. I think when somebody writes a memoir, they're telling you who they are. Donald Trump has done this with The Art of the Deal, and every piece of drivel he's written since he was a New York City entrepreneur. But Jamie Raskin did this in the opposite way in his book. He told us about love, family, our humanity, what democracy is, and why it is worth fighting for, and how it is connected to each and every one of us. In the book, he talks about his father, Marcus Raskin, and this is the line that has inspired me the most. His father used to say, "When all seems hopeless, we are the hope." Congressman Raskin's work, this moment, our collective work, is the hope. Thank you to Congressman Raskin for being here, not only for sharing what you're doing to fight fascism in our nation, for sharing your insights and wisdom and expertise, but thank you for fueling us with hope. As you're listening, I invite you to envision a democracy where we win, where we beat back this authoritarian march. Let it make you believe. Let it fire you up to keep going, because the vision we have for America and the vision that Congressman Raskin has is one worth fighting for. Welcome. Everybody, please welcome Congressman Jamie Raskin.
Hello, Patchogue. Hello, Long Island. Hello, New York's 1st Congressional District. Hello, New York's 2nd Congressional District. Hello, Mayor Pontieri. Hello, Long Island Indivisible. Hello, New York Progressive Action Network, and hello, Working Families Party. What an honor it is to be with you guys today. What an honor. Wow. Thank you for that warm welcome. I got banned in Texas, I got banned in Russia, but I'm making it on Long Island. And thank you for the beautiful weather here too. It was kind of hot down in Washington, but you know, it's not just the heat, it's the stupidity down there. And thank you, Catherine Casey Quigley, for such a beautiful introduction, and also for letting a congressman stay in your guys' guest room last night. And I'm thrilled to see all these wonderful people from Long Island. Wow, you've given me a lot of hope, you know, Catherine's right. Like, I'm here because your voice is important, okay? And it's important because you guys are the people. And those of us who aspire and attain to public office in America are nothing but the servants of the people. Nothing but the servants of the people. I don't care how high you go, how low it is. Here, the people are sovereign. And the minute somebody gets elected to office and they think they're a king, they're a queen, they're an emperor, they're a czar, they're a boss, they're above the people, that's the moment to evict, eject, reject, impeach, convict, start all over again. Start all over again. You guys are specifically important. I mean, the House of Representatives now, the pro-Trump MAGA majority hangs on by a thread. It's, I think, 3 seats right now. There are 2 seats on Long Island that could change the direction of America, right here on Long Island. So, look, I know I was not your first choice, okay? It would have been better to have your own representative here, but I know your representative couldn't quite squeeze you in this weekend, and one of the. Look, one of the local representatives, I think, had time to tweet out that there was an out-of-touch, out-of-state liberal who was coming here to speak to the people. And I just want to say that if an out-of-touch, out-of-state liberal is getting an audience like this in your district, you're going to have some surprises in store for you. You know, the whole liberal thing is interesting because one of my colleagues, who I liked a lot, a Republican who was leaving Congress, and I went to his goodbye party, and he said, Raskin, you're not a bad guy. The problem with you is you're a liberal. And I said, you know what? You're damn right I'm a liberal. The heart of the word liberal is liberty. And I'm a progressive because the heart of that word is progress, okay? But my favorite thing to call myself these days is a conservative. You know why? I want to conserve the land, the air, the water, the climate system, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the National Labor Relations Act, the Fair Labor Standards Act, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, everything that party of nihilists and authoritarians wants to destroy, we're going to conserve. We are the party of the liberals, the progressives, and the conservatives today. That's who we are. That's who we are. Some of my colleagues, they want to turn the name of my political party into a bad word, They say, your party is way down in the polls. You're at, 29% or something. I say, you know why? Because they don't think we're fighting hard enough to take down your authoritarian party, okay? But we're coming back up. We're winning every day. Sometimes my colleagues, they have a problem correctly pronouncing the name of our political party in its adjectival form. I see that with my friend Lauren Boebert or Jim Jordan. They'll say, well, that, Pelosi will get up and make a speech, and they'll say, that Democrat congresswoman with her Democrat bill and her Democrat amendment. And so, for like 7 years, I would get up and I'd say, look, Democrat is the noun, all right? You've got to say the Democratic congresswoman, the Democratic bill, the Democratic Party. And one day I was mixing it up with Lauren on the floor about this, and then all of them started piling on the Democrat this, Chip Roy, Jim Jordan, all of them were, and I lost my patience, I suppose. And I said, you know what, you have like this self-imposed political speech impediment, and it's contagious now, because when I try to say the name of your party, it just comes out the Banana Republican Party with the Banana Republican Congresswoman and the Banana Republican bill. And I went home and I told my wife, I said, Sarah, I got them back. And I told her what had happened, and she said, that was an extremely immature response, But now, luckily, I was reading a great book at the time, by the historian H.W. Brand at Texas, and the book is called Traitor to His Class. It's about FDR, and it's about the greatness of Roosevelt and how he stood for the entire country, everybody, and for the welfare of all. And he didn't mind being hated by the people who thought the government should just serve a tiny part of the country. But anyway, I learned something remarkable from that book, which was Roosevelt didn't call our party the Democratic Party, much less the Democrat Party. He called it the democracy. The democracy. So he'd say, well, the economic royalists, the plutocrats, they think it's enough to invest in the wealthiest corporations in America and let the wealth dribble down on everybody else. But the democracy says, let's invest in the great American working middle class. We will all rise and prosper together. That's the doctrine of the democracy. That's the doctrine of the democracy. So if you can't pronounce the name of our party, just do what FDR and Eleanor Roosevelt did. Call us the democracy, because that's what we are today. We are standing up for democracy. We are standing up for freedom in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And I'm proud to stand with the democracy in this century. Now, my friends, we're in the fight of our lives. And I don't need to tell you that. We are in the fight of our lives. And people ask me, the reporters always say, are we in a constitutional crisis? And I say, well, you know what? That seems kind of abstract and academic for me. Our Constitution is under attack on a daily basis by Donald Trump and Elon Musk and by MAGA, and we're defending it. That's the situation we're in. We're in a constitutional crisis, and we're going to get America through it. We're going to get America through it. And part of that is we are going to educate. You know, our whole country needs a constitutional refresher course at this point after what we've been through, right? They think that this is a country made up of kings and queens and tycoons, aristocrats, autocrats, oligarchs. Let's go back to the preamble of the Constitution. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and preserve to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of liberty, do hereby ordain and establish the Constitution of these United States of America. And then, my friends, that beautiful mission statement leads right into the very first sentence of Article 1 of the Constitution, which says, all legislative power shall be vested in the Congress of the United States. The lawmaking power. And it goes on for many pages. Congress has the power to regulate commerce domestically and internationally, which means that Congress decides upon tariffs, okay? We have the power to pass budgets, to raise taxes, and to spend money. That's the power of the purse. It belongs to Congress. If we tell you to spend money on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau or the Agency for International Development, you spend it. That's your job. You know, you get through all of that, you get to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, and it says, and all other powers necessary and proper to the execution of the foregoing powers. It could not be clearer where the grant of lawmaking power is in Article 1 of our Constitution. Then you get to Article 2, which is like this big, okay? And the most important paragraph starts out, a president shall be impeached for treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Okay? You know, so sometimes my colleagues will say, hey, we're 3 co-equal branches. I'm like, come again? You're going to repeat that 5th grade propaganda that we're 3 co-equal branches? First of all, co-equal's not even a word, okay? All right. Second of all, the lawmaking power is vested in the people's representatives in Congress. And if we were co-equal or equal, why do we have the power to impeach, try, and convict the president, and he doesn't have the power to impeach, try, and convict us? Look, what's the core job of the president after commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy in times of actual conflict, right? By the way, the president is not commander-in-chief of the Congress. He's not commander-in-chief of the Supreme Court. He's not commander-in-chief of the country or the government. He's commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy in times of actual conflict. What's the core job of the president? To take care that the laws are faithfully executed, okay? Not diminished, not rewritten, not trashed, okay? Your job is to take care that the laws are faithfully executed, and an Appropriations Act is a federal law, a law of Congress, just like the law saying you can't assault a federal officer. So when we say money must be spent on a particular purpose, you don't impound the money, you don't divert the money, you don't redirect the money. you spend it on the proper purpose appropriated by Congress. So, we've had times of conflict before. Nothing quite like this, but we've had times of conflict before. That's what Article 3 is all about. The judicial power is vested in the Supreme Court and then the lower courts that Congress will create. The Chief Justice Marshall in Marbury versus Madison in 1803 said, "It is emphatically the province and the duty of the judicial department to say what the law is." Okay? J.D. Vance, you get that? I don't know what they're teaching at Yale Law School these days, but the president does not announce what the law is for the president. We have one law. The Supremacy Clause says the Constitution and the federal laws beneath it are supreme. We have a supreme Constitution. We do not have a supreme leader. Okay. Our Bill of Rights is under attack. The freedom of speech is under attack. The freedom of press is under attack. They're kicking the Associated Press out of White House functions because they call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Mexico. Okay. We have people being swept off of the street because of speech they've engaged in, because of an op-ed they wrote for a college newspaper, because of a rally they attended, and they're being sent off to foreign countries in violation of the two most beautiful words in the English language, due process. Due process. This is a concept that Donald Trump is very familiar with, and he freely availed himself of when he was on trial here in New York State. And on his way to being convicted on 34 different felony criminal accounts, he had every benefit of due process. He had a lawyer. He had the right to cross-examine. He had the right not to testify, which he availed himself of. He had the right to put on evidence. They had a right to close the case. Due process for everybody, including the guilty. Including the guilty, right? Due process. This is why we say, listen to the Supreme Court, which voted 9-0. You cannot ship people out of the country just claiming they're criminals. Take it to court. Take your case to court. That's a constitutional right. It's a human right that America has fought for. Due process. We have a right to religious free exercise and no establishment of religion in America. And yet, we've got people who want to impose a program of Christian white nationalism on the government. One of my colleagues got up on the floor of the House and he said, the moral downfall of America was in 1962 in Engel versus Vitale, this case out of New York, where he said the Supreme Court banned prayer in the public schools, you know? And I got up and I said, no, the Supreme Court never banned prayer in the public schools. As long as there are pop math quizzes, there will be prayer in the public schools, okay? Anybody can pray whenever he or she wants to pray. It's just the government cannot write a religious script and then compel your children to participate in it. Alabama and Texas just voted to endorse the 10 Commandments and to post the 10 Commandments in every public school classroom in the state. I knew it was going to happen. My MAGA colleagues came in and they said, okay, now it's time for us to endorse the 10 Commandments. I said, gee, the 10 Commandments have been doing fine for millennia without an endorsement by the U.S. House of Representatives and the Freedom Caucus in the Senate. No, They insisted. One of the guys said to me, well, no, because the 10 Commandments are the basis of the Bill of Rights, right? And I said, I mean, I know there's 10 in each one, all right? But like, let's test the proposition, right? The first commandment says, thou shalt have no other God before me. The First Amendment says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. All right? It's hard to see how that one dictates that one. We go up to the Rules Committee and they insist they want an up or down vote on the 10 Commandments. And I said, I disagree with that. If we're going to vote on the 10 Commandments on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives, we should have to vote on each commandment separately, okay? And they can't get away with that omnibus package. And also, you can't vote for any of the commandments you've ever violated, all right? Because then you'll be taking the name of the Lord in vain in violation of the third commandment. Right down the line, the whole Bill of Rights is under attack. The Eighth Amendment ban on cruel and unusual punishment. You know, why do we not banish people to foreign prisons run by torturers, even if we give them due process? Why do we not do that? Because people have a right, even if they've committed a crime, even if they've committed 34 felony offenses, even if they've done something they're going to be ashamed of for the rest of their life, they have a right to be near their families, and they have a right to be near their lawyers, and they are people we hope we will be able to rehabilitate and reassimilate to American life, okay? It's hard to describe for you just quite how deranged it is in Washington, D.C. right now. It really is. I went to the State of the Union, the joint session of Congress, and each of us gets to invite one guest. And I invited to come with me one of my constituents, Dr. Lauren McGee, who was a pediatric cancer doctor at NIH and chief of the pediatric cancer unit, chief biologist. And she made the mistake of doing a great job in getting superior evaluations all the way along, because then she got promoted. And by virtue of being promoted, she was on probationary status. And that's what Elon Musk took as an invitation to sack tens of thousands of federal workers across the government. So she got fired. So I invited her to come with me because I wanted people to see an actual human being who's being described as waste, fraud, and abuse, who's devoted her life to solving real problems in pediatric cancer, and who's shown me pictures of children whose lives have been saved by the research that she's been doing with her colleagues at NIH. So anyway, I brought her there, and Trump, in this interminable Fidel Castro-length 8-hour speech, says that one of his key priorities is he's going to wipe out childhood cancer in America. And I can't even tell you how ashamed I felt, even being totally opposed to everything that he's been doing, how ashamed I felt to have to watch her listen to that. But anyway, then Trump decides to go on to start bragging about all of the great savings that he and Elon Musk have been making for the American people in cutting government expenditures. Now, you know, Musk started out by saying they were going to save us $3 trillion. Then he was going to save us $2 trillion. Then he was going to save us $1 trillion. Now he's claiming that he may get to $150 billion, okay? And all of it looks like it's completely fraudulent. All I've seen them do is fire the people from my district who are air traffic controllers and cancer researchers and food and drug inspectors and people who are actually making the government work. But anyway, I digress. Trump is going through this list, and he says, and we saved $8.5 million at NIH that they were spending on creating transgender mice, okay? And so for a second, I was shocked. And I was like, maybe I will go over to the other side of the aisle. Maybe they're spending $8 million to create transgender mice when all of my constituents are losing their jobs and they're slashing Medicaid and child nutrition. What's going on? So my guest is there, directs me to a news article. No. The NIH has spent $8 million on creating transgenic mice, okay? These are mice that have been injected with DNA so we can do scientific research on them about asthma and HIV/AIDS and breast cancer and colon cancer. My friends, we are being governed by morons, all right? Wait, my story's not over yet. My story's not over yet. We stay all the way to the end of this interminable diatribe, and we walk outside, and, as I'm getting in my car, there is a crashing sound. Well, it turns out that the chief of staff to Speaker Mike Johnson has plowed into the back of a parked police car at 38 miles an hour. So all the police, everybody converges on the situation. They open the door. He staggers out of the door. They administer a breathalyzer test, which is, like through the roof all the way to Mars. Speaker Johnson takes no time at all to issue a statement saying he's forgiven and he's a good, loyal soldier. Nothing's going to happen. But there was an NPR reporter there who saw me and said, "What do you think about this?" I said, "You know what? To me, it proves that there are way too many DUI hires in the Republican Party today, okay? Starting with Secretary Hegseth." Look, my friends, democracy's under attack, and the great achievements of democracy are under attack. Right now, it's Medicaid. $880 billion they want to slash out of the domestic budget. That's going to be a crisis in the lives of millions of people across the country. Our families, our friends, our neighbors. Why? All so they can create another gargantuan tax break for the wealthiest people in the country. Okay? And it's not just a giant grift, as we know from the first Trump administration. Right now, it's a political philosophy. If you read what Elon Musk and the other Silicon Valley billionaire plutocrats are saying, if you look at their guru, his name is Curtis Yarvin. He did an interview about 7 or 8 weeks ago with New York Times. He came right out with it. He said, the American people have got to get over their fear of the word dictatorship. He said, we got to get over the fear of dictators. He said, a dictator is just a president and CEO of a company. And those are all dictators, and we all accept that. And of course, they do want to dismantle every environmental regulation, public safety regulation, labor regulation in the country. He said, we all accept a dictatorship in a corporation. But what we need, according to Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and Mark Andreessen and Curtis Yarvin, we need a dictator for the dictators. Forget we the people. The dictators of the corporations, they need a dictator, and that's what a president is going to be, according to them. And they talk about the government of the high IQ, and they do. They talk about eugenics. I mean, why do you think Elon Musk, I think he has 14 acknowledged children right now by 5 different women. They really think that what the world needs is for them to reproduce more, disenfranchise the rest of us, and then they will be able to fly to Mars. That's their vision of where they're going, all right? So the question is, Long Island, are you going to lie down and let the autocrats and the plutocrats and the theocrats and the oligarchs destroy everything that our foremothers and forefathers built? Or are you going to fight back? Yeah. I'll leave you with the words. I think we've got some time if I haven't filibustered my way out of it. I think we got time for questions and answers. But I want to leave you with the words of some of the great democracy patriots I've kept so close to my heart during this period. One of them is Thomas Jefferson. And he a friend of his wrote him during the Alien and Sedition Acts, like the 1798 Alien Enemies Act, which has come back into vogue with the Trump administration. Although a federal court just struck it down and said that doesn't apply. And his friend wrote him just despairing of the condition in the country. And Jefferson wrote back and he said, "A little patience, and the reign of witches shall pass over. Their spells dissolve, and the people recovering their true sight restore their government to its true principles. In the meantime, we're suffering the horrors and malignities of this dark period. But if the game runs against us sometimes, at home, as it will," he said, "we must have patience because this is a game where principles are at stake." There's Thomas Jefferson on a similar period. Here's some words from Maryland, from the great Frederick Douglass, who was born about 45 minutes from my house at the Wye River Plantation, born into slavery, escaped from slavery to become our great freedom fighter through the Civil War, through the Reconstruction period. And Douglass said, "If there's no struggle, there's no progress. And the struggle may be moral, it may be physical, it may be moral and physical, but there must be struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will." A message to you from the people of Maryland. And I will leave you finally with the words of the great Tom Paine, who my son Tommy was named after. And Tom Paine, he got over here in 1774, and he fell in love with the promise of America. And he fell in love with New York, too. But he fell in love with the promise of our country. He said, if this land lives up to its values and ideals, it will become, he said, an asylum to humanity. Not an insane asylum, mind you, okay? A place of refuge for people seeking freedom from political and religious and intellectual repression from all over the world, Paine said. And he wrote the most famous pamphlet in our history, which ignited the American Revolution, Common Sense, by which he meant the sense we have in common when we're willing to reason together without what we would call today propaganda, disinformation, superstition, ignorance, when we're willing to take the facts and reason together to get there. And that's such a beautiful pamphlet. George Washington had the troops at Valley Forge reading by campfire light Common Sense as the inspirational pamphlet of the time. But 1776 was a tough year, and the country was split right down the middle. I'm reading a book about this right now by H.W. Brand called The First Civil War. And it was about how the American Revolution split the country. Half the people were running around saying, we need a king, we need a queen. For all of time, humanity has lived under kings and queens and czars and emperors, people like Vladimir Putin and Viktor Orban and Donald Trump. That's the fate of humanity, they felt. You can't beat the greatest empire that's ever existed. But then the democratic patriots, the revolutionaries, they said, well, let's give this a try, even with all of their flaws and all of the conflicts to come over slavery and the disenfranchisement of women. They said, let us create a government based on the consent of the governed. Let's create a nation founded on the principle that all men, and we would say today all men and women, are created equal, and that everybody is endowed with unalienable rights to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Let's give it a try, they said. Let's pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, our sacred honors in order to make it happen. But anyway, it was a tough year, and Paine wrote this pamphlet for them called The American Crisis. And I just want to quote a passage to you, a tiny little passage, but I'm going to update the language so it doesn't offend modern sensibilities. I promised Nancy Pelosi I would. She said Tom Paine was a feminist, and that he was. And he was fighting for women's voting rights in the 18th century. And he was an abolitionist, too. But anyway, Paine said, these are the times that try men and women's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will shrink at this moment from the service of their cause and their country. But everyone that stands with us now will win the love and the favor and the affection of every man and every woman for all time. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, but we have this saving consolation. The more difficult the struggle, the more glorious in the end will be our victory. Let's make that victory ours, Long Island. Thank you, New York. Thank you, Long Island Indivisible, and all of the great groups here.
Congressman Raskin. All right, so we have time for questions. I see you all lined up there. Just a few disclaimers. So we're going to go every other, right? And please, 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 please keep your questions brief. Okay, I see so many people lined up here, so please try to be succinct. Plan it in your head before you get up. And then also, we want to make sure that you're civil. I know emotions are high, but make sure that our questions are civil, and make sure it's a question, not just a statement. All right? And if you get carried away because you're nervous or whatever, I may just cut you off. I'm sorry in advance. It's really just because I see so many people that want to ask. All right? All right. My gentleman to the left here can take it away.
Thank you, Congressman Raskin. In the beginning, you spoke in terms of regaining the House of Representatives, and you are a minority member of the House of Representatives because the Republicans cheat. And I have been promoting on talk radio and locally a nonprofit that would call them out, but also threaten them with gerrymandering ourselves if they do not correct their ways, which they undoubtedly will not. And I'm wondering if I could just talk to some of your staff at some point.
By all means. Look, let me say this. The first plank of the For the People Act, which Democrats unanimously voted for in the 116th and 117th Congresses, is to get rid of gerrymandering in America, okay? And, we don't need a system where the politicians choose the voters before the voters choose the politicians, okay? Sometimes people say we've got to save democracy, and again, that language seems a little inapt to me because we got to fight for democracy because the institutions and the practices we have right now are suppressing the will of the majority. All of the GOP voter suppression tactics, all of the disenfranchisement tactics, all of the gerrymandering are efforts to thwart the will of the majority. And so we've got to get back to that idea. John Dewey said that the only solution to the ills of democracy is more democracy. And that's right. And so we've got to be thinking not in terms of just defending what we've got, but moving forward. And let's start, by the way, with the statehood admission process. And I'm not talking about Greenland and Canada and Panama. I'm talking about Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, okay?
Hi, my name is Kurt Lader. I live in Blue Point. I'm a retired AP government and politics teacher. And I really wish there was a provision in the Constitution that would require elected officers to pass that test because our current president wouldn't. All right, my question deals with the crazy executive orders, specifically the one dealing with the law firms
Yes.
And I know you wrote a letter with Senator Blumenthal
Yes.
to those law firms who gave into Trump's executive order with an April 28th deadline for documents and a response to what those law firms agreed to. Did you receive a response? If so, what did they say? If not, what is your next step in light of yesterday's decision in favor of Perkins Co., in which the judge said, quote, but in purpose and effect, this action draws from a playbook as old as Shakespeare, who penned the phrase, the first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers.
All right. So, let's start with this. An executive order is basically like a memo that the president writes to people in the executive office. It does not trump federal law, much less does it trump the Constitution of the United States of America, as you well know. Okay. And I want everybody here to take this back, please, to your family and friends. We are winning every single day in court across the country. There are more than 200 lawsuits that have been filed. We have won temporary restraining orders or preliminary injunctions in 113 courts across America, or 113 cases across America. So, Donald Trump didn't like one of the law firms had taken Robert Mueller on as a lawyer, so he wanted to punish the entire law firm. How's that for collective guilt and guilt by association? Not that he's got the right to punish Mueller anyway, but another firm Perkins Coie did too much work for Democrats, right? So he makes them his enemies and then he's going to go after them. Well, what does he say? You can't enter a federal building, including a federal courthouse, and you're a judge, or you're a lawyer, and you can't enter a federal building or a federal courthouse. You can't get security clearance. You can't get a federal contract, and you cannot work for the federal government, right? Now, some of the law firms, unbelievably, like Paul Weiss, caved in. They caved in. A bunch of them did that. And then, Wilmer Hale, Perkins Coie, a bunch of the law firms said, no way, you're not taking over our law firm. And guess what? Some of them were winning within 24 hours. And now they're winning permanent injunctions against these illegal, unlawful, unconstitutional executive orders. But look what's happened to the ones who caved in, right? This is to show you there is no safety in appeasing these people, okay? There's no security in appeasing fascism. There's not. So now Paul Weiss and the other firms that have caved in, they owe Donald Trump, check this out, nearly $1 billion of free legal assistance for the causes that he chooses. So you're going to take some of the best young lawyers in America, your associates, you're going to deploy them to go and work for the Donald Trump deputized anti-choice, anti-environment, anti-gay, anti-voting rights groups, and then you're going to be disqualified from representing anybody on the other side, either on a pro bono basis or a paid basis, because you'll be conflicted out. All I can say to those law firms is you made a very bad mistake. You should admit your error. You should withdraw your participation and come on over to the side of democracy and freedom and the Constitution.
Hi there, Mr. Raskin. Thank you so much for coming out. This was a super inspiring afternoon for all of us, I think. We've been dealing with this alone, and it's really important when we have representatives come and tell us that we're not alone, so I do want to thank everyone who was involved in putting this together. I also hope that this trend will continue and that Democratic leaders will continue to come here and visit us. I have a comment and I have a question, and it will be brief. So the first comment that I want to make is about fresh blood. I think democracy, if that's what we're going to call ourselves now, the democracy would love to see some new Democratic leaders, people that we haven't seen before. Don't get me wrong. We love you. We love a lot of you people. We're not saying that we want you to take a step back, although some of you should. What we are saying is that we want to see some new leaders from the people. In fact, there are a couple right now behind me that I think are going to be talking about their position in that as well. So I hope that Democrats that are already well established will help support free blood. The question I am asking is regarding a recent impeachment that they tried. 3 representatives sort of backed away from impeachment proceedings recently, and I want to know, this was after the House Democratic Caucus representative or the leader, he said that we don't want to move on removing Trump right now out of office. It's not an exercise that we're willing to undertake, end quote. And as someone who headed the second impeachment trial for Trump, I want to know if you support that. If you do, why? If you don't support it, I would like to know what the strategic plan is and if impeachment is something that you would support in the future.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so let me make a few points about your very trenchant comments here. Number one, if you are not being represented now, if we do our work of activism, you will be represented soon when it comes to 2026, okay? That's number one. Number two is, do we need new leadership? You're damn right, we need new leadership everywhere. I'm looking at new leadership right here. And you say you've got some people behind you who are going to be new leaders. I got some people behind me who are going to be new leaders, I hope. So now on impeachment, look, except for our colleagues who've just joined us recently, every member of the Democratic caucus has voted for impeachment numerous times. Nobody's afraid of impeachment in any way on our side of the aisle. If you permit a digression, just to talk about the Senate for a second, and I'll come back to the House. But look, I sat or stood this far away from Mitch McConnell for an entire week when we brought the case over to the Senate. And everything from his facial expressions to his body language to what he said to me during breaks indicated that he was going to vote to convict Donald Trump. And I was startled when he voted to acquit him. But then he made that speech and he said, well, Donald Trump is, I can't remember the exact terms, but he said, is actually factually, morally, ethically responsible for everything that happened. But we, the Senate, did not have jurisdiction to conduct a trial of a former president. Now, that contradicted more than 2 centuries of Senate impeachment and trial practice with respect to judges and others who had been tried and convicted. It also contradicted what was held by the Senate on the first day of the trial, where they tried to dismiss the trial on those grounds. And that was rejected in a vote of 56-44, which makes the acquittal of Donald Trump the greatest case of jury nullification in American history, because they took what was a legal point that had already been rejected by the Senate, and then they used it to decide the facts of the case, or to override the facts of the case, which is what they did. By the way, if the position of Senator McConnell and at least a dozen other Republican senators was that Donald Trump couldn't be tried and convicted because he wasn't in office, he's in office now. He's in office now, and the incitement of a violent insurrection and the attempt to perpetrate a coup against the democracy is an offense that is an imperishable one. It doesn't go away. There's no statute of limitations on that. But so in terms of where is the House on impeachment, of course, the Democrats are not in control of the House yet, but we will be. And so I would say, given the velocity and the volume of high crimes and misdemeanors that are pouring forth from the White House, including illegally impounding appropriated money and diverting it, illegally usurping the lawmaking power of the Congress, illegally disbanding federal departments like the Department of Education, as well as the extraordinary violations, continuing violations of the Foreign Emoluments Clause and the Domestic Emoluments Clause, and other assaults on due process and the rights of the people, I can't imagine that there won't be an impeachment in our future. So.
Hello, and thank you so much for being here, Congressman. We really appreciate it. I think what we've learned from history is that autocrats rarely, if ever, give up power without a fight. So my question to you is, yes, we want to take back the House. Yes, we've got 2026 and 2028 coming. How do we ensure that if we are not the party in power, our certification process will go forward as we expect it would? And how do we make sure that we can assume power if we win it? Thank you.
That's, yeah. That is an awesomely important strategic question you just asked. And the first thing we need to do is to make certain that MAGA and the election deniers, the fomenters of insurrection and coup, do not get control of the election processes. We need to make sure we are electing people as governors and secretaries of state and as the certifiers of elections who will remain faithful to the Constitution of the United States, okay? And that's why I tell young people who may just be tuning in right now to what's going on, it's not enough to be voting in federal elections for Congress and for President and Senate. You've got to pay attention to who's your Secretary of State and who's your governor and who's the chair of the Board of Election Supervisors and so on. So that's number one. Number two is we've got magnificent lawyers on our side. I don't know how many of you guys are supporting my friend Mark Elias and the lawyers there, and Democracy Forward and State Democracy Defenders. We've got magnificent groups up there. But finally, and this is what I spent a lot of my time doing, being the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, we've got to defend the security and the independence of the federal judges in the federal courts. So they're there as a backstop. You know, some of our MAGA colleagues are talking about impeaching federal judges who have struck down Trump's executive orders and Musk's actions. They're talking about impeaching a lot of people because that's a lot of judges. By the way, Republican appointees and Democratic appointees, so they take the birthright citizenship executive order, which purported to strip birthright citizenship from millions of people in the present and in the future, right? That was struck down by an Obama judge, a Biden judge, a Bush judge, and a Reagan judge. And the Reagan judge said that in his 4 decades on the bench, it was the easiest case he'd ever had because it contradicts the very first sentence of the 14th Amendment, which says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the states in which they reside. So they want to impeach these people, Republicans, they don't care. They're standing up for the rule of law. They want to impeach them. I went back and looked. We've only impeached 15 judges in the whole of American history. They've been impeached for bribery, corruption, income tax evasion. One guy was impeached for habitual drunkenness on the bench. They said occasional drunkenness isn't even enough. It's got to be habitual drunkenness. We have never impeached a judge because Congress disagreed with an opinion, much less a correct opinion like these judges are rendering. Yep.
Thank you. My name is Greg Dorosky. I serve on the South Old Town Board.
Good luck in your race. I know about you, Greg, so yes.
I'm also running for the Suffolk County Legislature this term. Thank you. And as we look at everything that's going on the national level, it's just craziness every hour, every day. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about the importance of local government and maybe what us all here who are just aghast at what's going on, what we can do locally this year. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. I've always felt the beautiful thing about the American Constitution and our form of government is that if one part of the government has been captured and choked off for the people with tyrannical leaders in charge, there are other places where the people can go to get things done, to keep making progress and to defend their rights and freedoms. So local government, county government, state government has never been more important, especially with Donald Trump talking about imposing martial law and calling forth the militias. We got to make sure that we've got governors who are in charge of the militias who are going to be defending the Constitution and the Bill of Rights against this madness. So all of us are citizens and members of the national government, the state governments, the local governments, the county governments, and all of us need to be active at every level. So thank you for your leadership and best of luck to you in your campaigns. So.
Hi, my name is Donna Rubin. Congressman Jamie Raskin, thank you so much for all you do. I listen to you every day, and you are brave, you are smart, and we all appreciate everything that you do. I have many questions, so I would love to just mention the questions quickly, choose one, and let me know where I can submit the rest of my questions, if there's a way we can get to you at a later date, okay? So, first question, what is going on with Trump and Russia? This is driving me crazy because we all know something's up. Everybody mentions it, but nobody's getting to the bottom of it. Number two, Democratic Party is being accused of not having clear messaging. Has anyone put together a group of people possibly taking people that were former Republicans, bringing them together and trying to figure out their strategy and use it for our strategy? Okay, because it seems to me they know what they're doing somehow. I'm impressed with your initiatives to educate both the public and our youths about government constitution. As an adult learner and returning back to college, I have applied for your summer program, and I have not heard back yet. So I would like to know if either I can join your program or maybe you can do something similar for adults, and maybe we can audit your Zoom meetings.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Are you still going?
I have one more. And all we hear every day is how the Trump administration lies about everything. What can be done to put together a bipartisan website that can list all of the truths and the lies, or whatever? And my question is, why is it that, let's say CNN, legacy media, why is it that we scroll every minute, breaking news, breaking news? Why can't we have fact-checking? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we get the truth? Why can't we make it more visible? QR code, fact check. Thank you. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, let me start with Democracy Summer, which is the project that we have for high school and college kids across the country. I have the privilege of representing a very blue district. I have extraordinary constituents like you guys who want me out there fighting for democracy and freedom every day. And I spend no money that I raise on my campaigns on polling or TV or radio or any of that. I spend it on a summer school for young people to come and learn about the history of our great country, the struggle for democracy, and what's going on today. And then they go out and knock on doors and canvass and do digital organizing. And I think this summer we are going to be, you might be eligible for Democracy Summer. I'll have to look more deeply into the details of your situation. But we're going to start, I think that we call it a senior core of grown-ups who want to tune in to, Tim Snyder and Mark Elias and Nancy Pelosi and all the people who are lecturing to the kids. And so that's number one. Number two, I also would be fascinated to know what is going on behind the scenes with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. I mean, Trump has alluded to the fact that he talks to him frequently, but you know what? I don't even want to get into that because what is happening publicly and visibly is enough for us to know that Donald Trump wants America to become an autocratic, authoritarian state like Russia, like Orban's Hungary, like his, Valentine pen pal in North Korea, Kim Jong-un, like President Xi in China. All of the dictators and autocrats and theocrats and plutocrats of the world are gathered together around Donald Trump, which means it's not just New York that's depending on you. It's not just America that's depending on you. It's not just Congress that's depending on you. The world is depending on what the people in this room do. The whole world. So, and let me just say finally on the messaging front, and I know that's like, the single most difficult question I get everywhere. It's like, you guys have the right values, you've got the right policies, but you can't message, you're not messaging. And I've, thought a lot about that. I'm not any kind of expert on messaging, public communications, or what have you, but I will say this, it is a lot easier for an authoritarian political party to message because it's just a question of who do they want you to hate this week? Is it transgender children? Is it Mexican rapists? And then everybody will follow them like a cult. If you're on the side of democracy, there's a lot of things we believe in. We believe in early childhood education. We believe of taking care of the older people and sick people. We believe investing in the infrastructure of the country. We believe in taking care of the water and the air and so on. So I don't know. But I got to the point where people would ask me about the messaging thing, and I said, all right, I've got a message for you. Take this out to the young people. It's what I tell the kids in Democracy Summer. It's very simple. When you go out to vote, everything you need to know about voting is everything you need to know about driving. If you want to go forward, you put it in D. If you want to go backwards, you put it in R. How's that for a message?
I just want to interrupt. We have about 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
And it's just because I got to go to the airport to get back to my constituents in Maryland. But it's not out of any lack of love for you guys. Montgomery County, Maryland. Thank you.
Congressman, thanks for coming. Lance Corey, West Hampton. We met a couple of years back at the synagogue, but my sister is a constituent in Bethesda. You may remember my giving you the book by Charles Braceland Flood, Hitler's Rise, His Path to Power, 1919.
Can you speak in the microphone?
You might recall by giving you Charles Braceland Flood's book, Hitler's Path to Power, at the West Hampton Synagogue, 1919 to 1923, and I warned we must not be weaker than the Weimar Republic. And I'm afraid we have turned to be that way. By the way, your book, Unthinkable, brought me to tears many times because Tommy and I have a lot in common.
Thank you.
As far as the Russians, I'd like to speak to that a little bit later. They grabbed him in '87 with his first wife's. But anyway, the bottom line is, my response to Trump and to John Avlon losing, unfortunately, to Mr. Loblo Lalota, has been to do an art show titled What If? And it was closed on the inauguration day, which had never been held to begin with.
Yeah,
I'd like to leave this with you.
Please.
Okay? He's also got my latest letter, my last letter, my final letter, open letter.
Can you
to President Biden and to you and 300 others. No, it's not a question. I just wanted to get that to your staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's okay. All right, next up.
I guess asking a question is a hard concept, huh?
It's all right.
I want to thank you for being here. And my name is Lisa. I'm from Patchogue. I'm an activist.
Hello, Lisa.
My concern and what I really want to know, especially being a Latina in the Latina community, I want the Democrats and the Republicans to stop using us as a political football. And I want to know if you're willing to support and push for DACA now. I want DACA to become citizens now. They're over 25 years that they've been waiting, and they're sick of waiting. They've been paying Social Security. So I want to know if the Democrats, if we win office, the first thing that you're going to do is make DACA citizens now, and no more waiting 5 years. We want it now.
I support you completely on that, and we believed actually back in 2018, Trump said he was going to support DACA. Trump said he was going to let the Dreamers in. We thought we were going to do it 7 years ago. So that has got to be a top priority when we get in. Let these young dreamers who have no criminal records, they're working, they're in the military, they're in school, let them become American citizens. We've got you know, even if you want to forget about the humanity of the situation, we've got huge labor shortages in America. I've got people coming to lobby me all the time in agriculture, in retail, in construction. We are down millions of workers. Donald Trump's stupid tariffs have plunged us into a trade war with the whole world except for Vladimir Putin. The stock market is sinking. The dollar is shrinking because of what they're doing. And now, if they actually could have their way and they could deport 10 or 12 million people from the economy, we would hit into a deep recession or a depression. Let's pass DACA. Let's get that done right away. Okay?
Thank you, Congressman. This year, November 2025, I'm running for Suffolk County Legislator. My name is Dr. Kelly Perry Highland. And I'm wondering what our national government can do to impact us locally for our housing crisis, because we haven't seen a change here on Long Island in decades. And I want our children to be able to stay in Oakdale and Holbrook. I want my military kids to raise their family in Bayport. And it doesn't seem like Trump or the MAGAs really care.
Yes. Look, I very much appreciate your activism and what you're doing, and I hope you brought literature to give to everybody for your campaign. Did you bring some literature?
Yeah, raise it up, raise it up. You guys got it.
All right. And I hope you got your business card too, so you can give it to them. Look, we just got their new budget proposal yesterday. The top cut was a 44% cut for HUD and for housing in America. So the first thing we got to do is to defeat Donald Trump's budget, okay, for next year. And we need to continue and expand the programs for young people to be able to get a mortgage and to help them put money up. Both people coming back from the military and other young people who are just starting out. So Kamala Harris and her campaign had a whole portfolio of excellent proposals around that, and we should go back to that as a starting point as soon as we take the government back. I appreciate it. And, you know, my motto is, they say they want to cut 40% from housing. We should increase housing by 40%. They say they want to cut $3 billion from NIH, from the researchers who are studying how to cure cystic fibrosis and multiple sclerosis and malignant narcissistic personality disorder, okay? And they want to cut $3 billion. We want to add $3 billion. That's what we want to do. How about that? Yeah.
Thank you for being here, Congressman. My name is Robert Broder, and I'm from Maryland. My question is, do Democrats or Republicans even speak to each other behind the scenes? And
I'm sorry, but I say it again.
I'm sorry, do Democrats and Republicans even speak to each other behind the scenes anymore? And if so, what do they say in private about the insanity coming out of the White House?
Did you say, what do they say?
What do they say about the insanity?
Okay, this is an awesome question. Where are you from in Maryland originally?
Bethesda.
The 8th District.
Grew up there.
Never too late to come home, man. Look, you speak to my heart. I'm a middle child. I like bringing people together, okay? You know, and to this day, I believe in bipartisan or, you know, multi-partisan action. Remember, there's a lot of people who hate both of our parties, okay? It's not just bipartisan. And, you know, bipartisan, some of the big interest, special interest lobbyists give bipartisan a bad name. They come into my office and they say, oh, we've got a great bipartisan bill for you. And I say, you mean you want to buy both parties? You want to buy one and get the other for free. So we got to think much larger than but we got to think about, you know, all of us. Look, parties are necessary for us to articulate programs and organize and get elected and to register people. We know the government's not doing that. But when we get in, we got to remember we serve everybody. We serve everybody, regardless of who they voted for. But yeah, I mean, it's gotten harder and harder. I mean, Liz Cheney was my very good friend. We started in the same class. And Adam Kinzinger, his office was across the hall from me. I mean, it's not an accident that some of the people who stood up actually had Democratic friends, and we had those lines of communication open. So I know everybody's on my case. My colleagues make fun of me, but I happen to be friends with Lauren Boebert. You know, we invited her family over for New Year's Eve. Well, hey, you take your Republican friends as you find them, you know? And it's important for us to keep channels open to everybody. And that's another thing my dad taught me. Thank you for mentioning my dad, Catherine. But he said, you never give up on anybody. And look, we don't want a civil war in America, so these people can't be our enemies. We've got to find a way for them to be our friends again. And, you know, Lincoln said, somebody said to Lincoln, well, you know, why are you spending so much time, you know, with your political enemies? And he said, if I make my enemy my friend, haven't I destroyed my enemy? And I kind of like that. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd say we have time for about three more questions.
David Denton, I am a Long Island Postal Union representative.
Oh, right on.
All right. So my question is not about the post office. It's about due process, because I don't think that enough people realize how many entities and how many organizations use it. The press uses it. The courts use it. Labor unions use it. Without it, none of us will be around. What can we do not only to preserve that, but how can we get civics education back in the classrooms to teach kids about this?
So,
thank you, sir.
The book that Catherine mentioned that got banned in Texas that I wrote is a civic education book for kids in high school called We the Students, and it's about all of the Supreme Court cases that affect the rights of kids in public schools, locker searches, prayer in the schools, segregation, desegregation, and so on. So I'm completely with you on that. Look, due process, I would say if two words had to capture the crisis we're in, I would say it's that, because you're absolutely right. Look, the federal workers are asking for nothing other than due process. Under the civil service, their jobs are protected as long as they are performing well in their jobs. Nobody's saying, don't take my job away if I'm not showing up to work and not doing my job. Nobody's saying I can be incompetent and keep my job. All they're saying is if I get superior, excellent evaluations as an air traffic controller or a cancer researcher or as a park ranger or as somebody trying to be a diplomat around the world, don't sack me, okay? Don't fire me without giving me my due process. But the new administration is not interested in the excellent performers or making the workforce perform better. They're interested in tearing the government down and leaving only the parts that can make them and their friends rich. That's why there's such an uproar in the country. And we know they're coming after the post office. They've been after the post office for years. They've been wanting to privatize the post office and plunge the post office into crisis. The post office is the only federal department we've got that is actually in the Constitution. It's in the Constitution, right? The creation of the post office created the system of postal roads and communications in America. That's why so many of our great newspapers are named after the post office, like the New York Post. That might be a bad example. But the Washington Post or the Times Express, they were all named after the postal routes in the country. So don't tear down the post office. Let's build the post office up and modernize the post office and make it relevant to our realities today.
Hi, my name is Pat Rawlings. I also work at the local hospital here. I'm very concerned about the Medicaid, the Social Security, and the Medicare cuts that there could be looming. The president is always saying he's not going to touch it, but we know what a liar he is. Congress is back and forth flip-flopping. I'm going to be ready to retire, and I am scared to death. What is your sense on what is going to happen with Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid?
Okay, thank you. Look, Donald Trump, he understands it's politically untouchable. Social Security is the greatest anti-poverty program in the history of the world. In the history of the world. And it's paid for by the people who are the beneficiaries of it. We pay into it, we get back from it, and it's a statement of intergenerational solidarity and community. And its administrative expenses are much less than 0.5%. You cannot find, up until the Trump administration, a better run federal program anywhere on earth than Social Security is, okay? Now, we gotta make some changes because of the demographic changes in the country, and we need more younger workers, which is why we shouldn't be kicking them out of the country. But we need to raise the cap. We need to raise the cap. The bottom line is the FICA tax is a regressive tax the way it's shaped. We need to do that, and then we can take care of solvency for the next 50 or 60 years. But there are forces in MAGA, there are forces on Wall Street that want to tear Social Security down or they want to privatize it. Right. This has been a long-running GOP political objective. They have sacked 7,000 Social Security employees already. I don't know if you've encountered this yourself. It's almost impossible to get through on the telephone to Social Security. And they say, well, go to one of the offices. They're trying to close dozens of the offices. So Donald Trump claims, I'm not touching Social Security. You already have touched Social Security. You're already damaging Social Security with all of these personnel cuts and layoffs that are happening. So this is why we're going to fight and fight like hell on Medicaid. And you know what's making a difference? This room is making a difference. There are Republicans from marginal districts who wrote recently to Donald Trump saying, we don't know if we can get away with these Medicaid cuts. You've got to be very careful. Keep turning up the heat on Medicaid. And I'm looking at your t-shirt. I think that says Own the Day. I've got a little slogan that I inaugurated for this period that we're in. I went to, I think, the first rally of the whole thing, at least the one in Washington, at NOAA, where a lot of my constituents were getting laid off at NOAA. And I went and I said, I've got a new motto until we get through with this nightmare. A rally a day keeps the fascists away, okay? So you're my rally today. You're my rally today.
Thank you so much.
All right. We're going to do one more question, but before we do, let me just let you know what's going to happen from here. So one more question, then I'm going to share a few things that you can do about how we can keep having rallies, calling our congressmen, that kind of thing, and then, Congressman, I'm going to ask you to close us out and say goodbye. Okay, does that sound like a good plan? All right. Last question.
Hi. First of all, I want to congratulate you on your health recovery.
A little loud.
Thank you. Oh, that's so nice. I went to the doctor on Friday. It was my 2-year anniversary of ending chemo, and all looks good. So I thank you very much. And my solidarity goes out to anybody in this room or anybody out there who's struggling with cancer or any other serious disease. I mean, and we can never forget, we got millions of our fellow citizens and brothers and sisters who are struggling every day. And that's why, to me, national health care is a moral imperative for our country.
So I have one comment that I actually read, and I thought this was hysterical. Harry Truman called the 80th Congress the Do-Nothing Congress, and they passed 906 laws. So I thought, well, what's this Congress done? And this is no reflection on you or any of the Democrats, but you only did 274. What the hell is going on in Congress? I mean, really.
So, well, I'll give you another example of this. On Wednesday, the Judiciary Committee met to consider their budget reconciliation, and they want to increase the funds under our jurisdiction by $81 billion to go to ICE and to go to family detention centers, right? While they're literally defunding opioid treatment centers, resource centers, domestic violence centers, you name it. They're dismantling the social infrastructure to actually help our communities fight violent crime and assist the victims of sexual assault and sexual abuse. And we were there for 9 hours, and not a single Republican said a single thing. So we tried to restore all of that money. We also said that nobody should be deported from the country without due process. They didn't say a word against it, but they all voted no. They killed our amendment. We had another amendment to say, we thought we would really test how far they're willing to go. We said that ICE and the federal government should not deport U.S. citizens. They voted it down, and they refused to speak a word as to why. It was like a mega mime troupe over there. They wouldn't say anything. So this is where we are, and I don't know that they're passing more bills would necessarily help. I mean, I wish
they have to be the right bills.
They're a do-nothing Congress in the sense that they're not doing anything to stop Donald Trump from trampling the Constitution. They're certainly not doing anything to help anybody. One of the things I know is of concern to people on Long Island, because it's of concern to people in Maryland, is during the last big Trump giant tax cut, they got rid of the deduction for state and local taxes. The SALT, which is ridiculous. And so we've been trying to say to our Republican colleagues from blue states, which are hit by this, because the blue states are high road states which invest in education and the environment and mental health and the people. But anyway, we're saying you should not vote for anything unless they restore completely the SALT deduction for our states. Well, they're saying, well, maybe we'll do $25,000 cap or $30,000. No, let's take it back to where it was before Donald Trump got a hold of it in his first administration.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. I'm sorry we don't have time for more. I just want to say a few things. First of all, thank you so much, Congressman Raskin, for being here with us today. It means so much. There's a couple of things that you've said that I want to reiterate. One is progressive means progress. I like that one. And another thing that you've said that I really admire, and I think this really is important here on Long Island, is it's not about finding the political center, it's about finding the moral center. And that's where we need to advocate for. There is so much that you can do, and the volunteers have coordinated to have a number of tables out back where you can meet different organizations to learn about what they're doing and sign up. The town committees, town Democratic committees need you. They need your help to win state, local and state races. Do you know where Congressman Raskin came from? His state legislature, right? So that's how we build power. So call your congressman. We left the seats here for them, but, they didn't show up. So maybe you can call them and see if they'll answer. And yeah, just get involved. Keep going. And then I'm going to let Congressman say goodbye and thank you, and let's keep going. We can do this. Bring back our democracy.
All right, I want to tell you one more thing, because I'm thinking about my son Tommy, because he was a real activist like you guys. And Tommy, he was also a vegan, for any vegans out there. And so, but anyway, Tommy had a passage that he loved from the philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein. And Wittgenstein said, the truth of an empirical proposition is whether it corresponds to reality. The truth of an analytical proposition is whether it corresponds to the laws of logic. But the truth of a moral proposition is the courage with which you act to make it real in the world. Let's make it real. Let's go back and win back democracy and freedom in America. Thank you, Long Island. Love you guys.
What it isn't. Looking for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking a new hit. Me get up, first shot, pimp strut walking. A little bit of humble, a little bit of cautious. Somewhere between like Rocky and Cosby's for the game. Nope, y'all can't copy yet. Glad moonwalking, and this here is our party. My posse's been on Broadway, and we did it all way. Chrome music, I shed my skin and put my bones into everything I record to it. And yeah, I'm on. Bob Barker, suit game, and Plinko in my style. Money, stay on my craft and stick around for those pounds. But I do that to pass the torch and put on for my town. Trust me, on my INDEPENDENT shit hustling. Chasing dreams since I was 14 with the 4-track bustin'. Halfway across that city with the back crush shit. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country.
Can we go back? This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Can we go back? This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Nah, can I kick it? Thank you, yeah, I'm so damn grateful. I grew up really wanna go fronts, but that's what you get when Wu-Tang raised you. Y'all can't stop me, go hard like I got an 808 in my heartbeat. And I'm eating at the beat like it gave a little speed to a great white shark on shark week. Raw, time to go off, gone, deuces goodbye. I got a world to see, and my girl, she wanna see Rome. Caesar make you a believer, nah, I never ever did it for a throne. That validation comes from giving it back to the people. Now, sing this song and it goes like, raise those hands, this is our party. We came here to live life like nobody was watching. I got my city right behind me. If I fall, they got me. Learn from that failure, gain humility, and then we keep marching.
Can we go back? This is the moment.